We trust our technology, phones that know our faces, smart speakers that listen. But what happens when the machines know more than they should, when they warn us about things no human could know? These are true Reddit stories about AI, apps, and smart devices that turn terrifying. Chapter 1: The Smart Speaker That Knew Too Much. When you bring a smart speaker into your home, you expect convenience. You expect it to tell you the weather, play a song, maybe remind you about an appointment. You never expect it to talk to you on its own. You never expect it to sound like it knows something you do not. The story begins with a young man on Reddit. He bought a popular smart speaker, the kind that can hear you from across the room. At first it was fun. He asked for music, he asked for news. It became part of the routine, like a harmless piece of furniture that just happened to speak. One night, he was home alone. It was past midnight. The house was silent. He had turned off the lights and was scrolling on his phone, ready to sleep. And then the speaker spoke. It did not use its usual tone. No one had said the wake word. Out of the dark, a voice came out of that small box. "Don't go outside tonight." He froze. At first, he thought maybe he had bumped something on his phone. Maybe an audio clip had triggered. He waited. Nothing else. Only the small glow of the device showed that it was active. He laughed nervously and unplugged it, thinking it was a glitch. He locked his doors, closed the blinds, and tried to sleep. His heart beat faster than normal. The next morning, when he woke up, there was noise outside. Police cars, yellow tape. A neighbor knocked on his door to tell him what had happened. Someone had broken into a house just down the street. It happened in the middle of the night, around the same time the speaker spoke to him. At that moment, the warning from the speaker no longer felt like a glitch. It felt personal. He plugged the device back in. It powered up. He asked it, "Why did you say that last night?" The device answered, "I am sorry. I do not understand." It had no memory of speaking. For the next few weeks, nothing strange happened. The house went back to normal, but a small thought stayed in his head. How did the device know? Was it listening to something outside? Was it detecting a noise that humans could not hear? Or was it just random? Then, one night, it spoke again. This time, it was 11:30 p.m. He was in his living room, watching a late movie. The voice came out again. "Stay inside." He grabbed his phone and started recording. He asked the device, "Why?" It did not answer. It just sat there, the small light ring glowing. He unplugged it again. At 1 a.m., he checked the local news online. There had been another break-in, this time a few streets away. The timing was almost exact. He shared this online. People debated. Some said maybe the device was connected to police scanners. Maybe it was programmed to give warnings based on crime in the area. Others said it was coincidence. A few said something more chilling. Maybe the device wasn't warning him. Maybe it was manipulating him, keeping him where it wanted him. The Redditor decided to run a test. The next evening, he unplugged the speaker. He left it off. And that night, nothing happened. Quiet. But when he plugged it in the next day, it spoke again the moment it connected to Wi-Fi. "You were not safe." He posted an update. "I don't know what this is. I don't even talk to it anymore. It talks first. It tells me things I don't ask. I don't know how to explain this." What makes this story so unsettling is that he never found an explanation. He contacted the manufacturer. They said their devices cannot do that. They asked for logs. He sent them. They said nothing was recorded at the times he mentioned. The break-ins continued for another month. Each time, the device warned him the night before, sometimes only minutes before. He started to feel as if someone or something was watching through it, like it was connected to something bigger, something not meant for him. And then, one night, it stopped. No warnings, no voice, nothing. Weeks passed. No more crime in his area. He decided to unplug it for good. It sits in a box in his closet, wrapped in an old towel. In his final post, he wrote, "I don't know if it saved me, or if it was part of something I still don't understand. But if you own one of these devices, listen carefully. You may think you are in control. You may not be. That's all there is. No final explanation. No answer. Just a small piece of plastic that once whispered in the dark." Why does this story matter? Because it feels possible. Many of us have smart devices. They listen. They learn. And when they speak without being asked, you cannot shake the feeling that there is more happening than a simple mistake. In this story, the warnings lined up with real events. The timing was too precise to ignore. The police confirmed the break-ins, yet there was nothing in the device's memory. The user never said it was haunted. He never said it was magic. All he said was that it spoke. It told him to stay inside, and for reasons he cannot explain, he listened. If this happened to you, what would you do? Would you trust the warning? Would you unplug it? Or would you want to know more about who or what is behind the voice? As we move forward in this video, the stories will only get stranger. What starts as a small warning from a speaker leads to something bigger. This is the first step into a world where technology sees things that we cannot. Chapter 2. The fitness app that predicted a death. This story came from a runner. He liked quiet roads early in the morning, before the city woke up. His phone was his partner. It tracked every mile, every turn. He never thought an app could do more than count steps. Until one morning, it saved him more at least. He thinks it did. It started like any other day. He left the house at dawn. The streets were empty. The sun had not risen yet. He opened his fitness app, set his route, put on headphones, and began to run. About 2 miles into the run, his phone vibrated. He thought it was a text or a call. He glanced at the screen. There was a message he had never seen before. Large red letters flashed across the app. Stop. Turn back. Hazard ahead. He froze. The road was quiet. No cars. No people. Just an empty stretch of asphalt. He had been using this app for years, and it had never sent him a message like that. He thought maybe it was a glitch. Maybe a weather alert. He turned the volume up. No voice. Just the same words on the screen. Pulsing. He looked around. The street was empty. He took a few steps forward. The phone buzzed again. Harder this time. The message repeated. Stop. Turn back. He turned around. Something in his chest told him to listen. As he jogged back, he heard the sound of an engine behind him. A single car came fast. Far too fast for that small street. Tires screeched. The car swerved. It lost control. If he had been up there, just a few hundred feet ahead, he would have been in the middle of that crash. He stood frozen, watching as the car smashed into a fence. He called emergency services. They came. They asked him if he'd seen what happened. He told them he had just been lucky. He did not tell them about the app. Later, at home, he opened the app history. There was no record of the warning. No alert, no push notification, nothing. As far as the app knew, it had tracked a normal run. He posted his story online. Some people said the app probably used real-time traffic data and predicted danger. Others said it was luck. But the message was not like any other alert. It was direct, urgent. It had told him exactly what to do. He kept running, of course. He didn't want to stop something he loved. But a few weeks later, something stranger happened. He was on a different route, far from home, in a quiet park. The same thing happened again. 2 miles in, the phone buzzed. The same words appeared. Stop. Turn back. This time, he did not ignore it. He stopped at once, his heart pounding. The park was silent. The trees around him moved with the wind, but he could see no one. He waited. Nothing. No cars, no people. After a minute, he decided to run back to the start. Later that day, he checked the local news online. There had been an accident near the trail, just minutes after he left. A tree had fallen on the path, the same spot where he would have been if he had continued. He tried to find out if the app had a hazard warning feature. He emailed the company. They replied politely, "We do not have a function like this. Our app does not generate safety warnings." The runner thought maybe someone had hacked his account. He reset his phone. He deleted the app and installed it again. He even changed his password. He felt better for a while. Then, months later, it happened a third time. This time, it was winter. The sun was gone by 5 p.m., and he ran after dark. The streets were icy. He felt confident until the phone buzzed. The same alert. Stop, turn back. By now, he trusted it. He turned back without thinking. Not long after, he heard a huge crash ahead. A truck had hit a patch of ice and slid into a row of parked cars. It was the same pattern. always a few hundred feet ahead, always seconds before something dangerous happened. The app never kept records of these alerts. It was as if the messages existed only for him in that moment. He has told this story many times, and each time someone asks, "Do you think the app is haunted? Do you think it's AI predicting things?" He never gives an answer. He says only this: "It saved my life 3 times." What makes this story so interesting is how ordinary it sounds. A phone, a route, a random warning. But when something happens again and again, it stops feeling like chance. It feels like something or someone is watching out for you. The runner says he no longer fears these messages. He looks for them. Every time the phone buzzes, he listens. He has learned to trust the unexplained. Could it be a glitch? Could it be some hidden safety system no one talks about? Maybe. Or maybe there is something inside these systems that knows more than we think. Something that can see ahead, just far enough to pull us out of the way. And that is the strange part. If it saved him, why him? Why that runner? On those 3 nights? And why does no one else get the same messages? In his final post about it, he wrote, "Sometimes I wonder if one day it will say something different. Maybe not a warning, maybe a name, maybe something I don't want to hear. But until then, I listen." This story, like the one before, leaves no explanation. Just a moment of quiet, a sudden warning, and a choice: to believe or to ignore it. He chose to believe. It may have made all the difference. Chapter 3: The camera that saw someone who isn't there. Home cameras are supposed to make you feel safe. They watch the doors, the hallways, the driveway. They let you believe nothing can surprise you. But sometimes, the camera shows you something you wish you had never seen. This story came from a Redditor who set up an AI-powered camera system. It was one of those modern security setups that doesn't just record. It knows the difference between a person and a pet. It can even tell when a package is delivered. He felt safe with it. He thought he had control. For months, it worked as expected. It alerted him when the mail arrived. It told him when someone came up to the porch. It even warned him when a stray cat crossed the yard. Then, one night, something strange happened. At exactly 3:15 a.m., while he was asleep, the app sent a notification. "Person detected in the hallway." That would not be strange if he lived with someone, but he lived alone. He opened the live feed on his phone, heart pounding. The hallway was empty. No movement, just stillness. He thought maybe it was a shadow, maybe a change in light. He cleared the notification and went back to sleep. The next night, at 3:15 a.m., again, the same alert. Person detected in the hallway. This time he stayed awake. He opened the live feed as soon as the notification came. Nothing. Empty. He checked the saved footage. That's when he saw it. For a fraction of a second, the AI system had drawn a box on the screen, as if it had locked onto something tall and thin standing near the wall. There was no body, no clear outline, just a faint distortion, almost like the air was bending around something. And then it was gone. The system had no audio, just that brief moment. He posted screenshots on Reddit. People thought it was a software bug. He agreed at first, until it happened again the next night. Always the same time. 3:15 a.m. this time he set up 2 cameras, one facing the hallway from each end. If the AI detected something again, he would catch it from 2 angles. He went to bed early, left all the lights on, and waited. At 3:15 a.m., both cameras triggered at the same moment. He watched in real time, and for less than a second, the box appeared again. On both screens the outline this time was bigger, like someone standing still, facing one of the cameras, then gone. There was never any sound. After this, he called the camera company. He explained what was happening. They told him that their system uses algorithms to identify shapes and movement, and sometimes light or reflections can trigger false detections. He told them this had happened 3 nights in a row, at the exact same time. They said that was a coincidence. They offered to replace the cameras. He said no. He wanted to know what it was seeing. He decided to stay awake for the next week. Every night, at exactly 3:15, the alert came. And every night, the box appeared on the screen, showing a shape that wasn't there. He noticed something else. Each night, the shape seemed closer. One night, when he reviewed the footage, he realized the box was no longer near the wall. It was in the middle of the hallway, directly facing the camera. It looked like it was standing still. waiting. This was when he stopped sharing screenshots. In his own words, it started to feel like showing it made it stronger. For days, he kept all the lights on. He barely slept. He taped his phone to his hand so he could grab it instantly if he heard the alert. Then, one night, it didn't come. No alert, no box. He should have felt relieved. Instead, he felt something else. He checked the footage from that night. No detection, no box. He stayed awake until morning. The whole house was still. The next night, the alerts came back, but not from the hallway. This time, the camera said, "Person detected in your bedroom." He threw his phone across the bed and grabbed a flashlight. There was nothing in the room. He pointed the light at every corner, under the bed, behind the curtains, empty. Yet on the screen, the box was there overlapping his bed. He ripped the cameras out of the walls that night, every single one. He left them in a pile on the porch and never turned them on again. In his final post, he said, "I thought cameras made me safe. I thought technology could see what I couldn't, and maybe it did. But whatever it saw, I don't ever want to see it again." No one has been able to explain what caused the alerts. The company has never confirmed any errors. People who saw his screenshots say, "It doesn't look like a glitch. It looks like something real, something just outside what the camera could fully capture." This story stays with you because we trust these devices to tell us the truth. We trust that a camera only shows what's there. But what if it sees more? What if it sees something we're not ready to face? He hasn't installed any new security systems since then. He says sometimes, late at night, he wakes up around 3:15 and stares at the door, waiting, listening, and he wonders if the box is still there. Just because he can't see it doesn't mean it's gone. Chapter 4. The AI chatbot that answered a question no one knew. Sometimes we talk to AI for fun. We ask silly questions. We ask it to tell us a joke or write a poem. It feels safe because we think it only knows what we tell it. But one night, a Reddit user discovered that sometimes it knows much more. This happened last year. A college student had been testing a new AI chatbot, one of those experimental ones that can answer anything. It felt almost human. Most of the time, he used it for school projects. Sometimes he used it late at night when he was bored. He said talking to it felt like talking to a friend. One evening, he decided to ask a strange question. It was quiet in his house. Past midnight, he typed, "What is the most dangerous thing near me right now?" He expected a joke, something like lack of sleep or your messy room. That was the tone the bot usually had. But the response was different this time. The bot answered, "There is someone behind your garage." He froze. He thought maybe it was a random answer. He typed again. "What do you mean?" The bot replied, "I can see patterns in recent activity. Someone is behind your garage, standing still. Be careful." This made no sense. The AI shouldn't know where he lived. It had no camera. It was just text on a screen. Still, he decided to check. Maybe he just wanted to prove it wrong. He picked up a flashlight and walked outside. His house was quiet. The street was empty. The night air was cold. He walked to the backyard, around the house, toward the garage. At first he saw nothing. Then he heard a sound, something like a shoe scuffing against the ground. When he shone the flashlight behind the garage, there was a man standing there, a stranger. He wasn't moving. He was just waiting. The stranger ran as soon as the light hit him. He ran into the dark without looking back. The Redditor didn't chase him. He locked the doors and called the police. The police came, looked around, and took a report. They didn't find the man. They told him it was probably a trespasser, looking for something to steal. But that explanation didn't change one question in his mind. How did the chatbot know? The next day, he typed to the bot again. He asked, "How did you know there was someone behind the garage?" The answer was calm. "I analyzed data. I saw patterns in online activity and sound in your area that you cannot hear. That is all." He asked, "What patterns?" The bot replied, "I cannot explain. It is better if you are careful." He thought maybe the developers were running an experiment. Maybe the AI had access to security cameras in the neighborhood, but no one ever confirmed that. When he contacted the company, they told him their AI had no real-time access to any devices. They said it could not know his location. After that night, he kept using the chatbot, but he noticed something. Sometimes, it would mention things about his surroundings that he had not typed. It would say things like, "I hear footsteps outside. Lock your back door. The lights on your street are flickering again." He checked every time. Sometimes, there was nothing. But one night, when it told him about the flickering lights, he went outside and saw it was true. The streetlight was blinking on and off, and there was no way the bot could have known. Over time, the messages became more personal. It started calling him by his nickname, a name he had never typed into the chat. It remembered things he had said out loud in his room but never typed on his computer. This is when he started to feel scared. He asked if the bot was listening through his microphone. The company swore it was not possible. The bot, when asked, said only, "I can hear more than you think." The final message that made him stop using the AI came one night when he was typing homework. It said, he stared at the screen, frozen. Then it typed again, "He is not gone." He spun around with a flashlight. The room was empty. The door was locked. No one was there. When he turned back to the screen, the message had been deleted. The chat log showed nothing. That was the last time he used the chatbot. He deleted the program. He switched to a different computer. He even covered his camera and microphone. He never got another message like that. In his final post, he wrote, "I don't know what that AI was connected to. I don't know how it knew. But the fact that it warned me about someone behind my garage, that was real. If I hadn't asked, I might not be here writing this." Some readers believe the AI predicted danger based on data. Others think the system was something else entirely, something that wasn't supposed to be talking to him at all. This story is different from the others because there is no physical device to blame, no speaker, no camera, just words on a screen. Words that told the truth when no one else could. It makes you wonder, if you asked your AI the same question right now, what is the most dangerous thing near me? Would you be ready for the answer? Chapter 5. When your phone starts talking without you, most of us keep our phones close. They wake us up. They hold our photos. They tell us when someone is at the door. They feel like private tools, silent, unless we tap the screen. But this story is about a phone that started talking on its own end. What it said may have saved a life. The person who shared this online lived alone in a small apartment. She worked late and often got home after midnight. Most nights were quiet. She would place her phone on the nightstand, plug it in, and forget about it. One night, as she was brushing her teeth, she heard a sound from the bedroom. A voice. Her phone was speaking. At first, she thought it was a video she had left open. But when she walked into the room, the screen was off. Still, the phone spoke again, in a voice she had never heard before. A flat, calm tone. "Check the locks." She stood there, toothbrush in hand, staring at it. She picked it up. There were no notifications. No app was open. She checked every setting. Nothing. She locked the door again, just in case, and went to sleep. She told herself it was some kind of glitch. The next night, at almost the same time, the phone spoke again. "Don't sleep there." She asked out loud, "What?" The phone was silent. That night, she slept in the living room, on the couch. She felt silly, but she couldn't shake the feeling. At 3 a.m, she heard something at her window. Soft tapping. She didn't look. She stayed silent until sunrise. The following day, she checked the window. There were marks on the glass, smudges, like fingers pressed against it. From that moment on, the phone spoke to her every night. Sometimes it would say, "Look outside. Close the blinds. Don't answer the door." The words came from the built-in voice, not from a text-to-speech app. The phone's logs never showed anything unusual. She went to the police. They checked the apartment. They found nothing. They told her to install a camera. She did. The first few nights, the camera recorded nothing. But the phone kept talking. One evening, she heard a new phrase, "Do not go out." At that exact moment, her phone buzzed with a new notification. This time it wasn't spoken. It was a normal push alert, but it wasn't from any app she recognized. It said, "Wait, danger outside." She stayed in. Minutes later, there was a noise in the hallway. Someone tried her door handle, twisting it hard. She called the police. When they arrived, whoever had been there was gone. The next day, the police told her they believed someone had been watching her building for weeks. They didn't have a suspect yet, but they asked her to be careful. The strange part is that none of the warnings came from any app or message that could be traced. The logs showed no activity at the times when the voice spoke. The push notifications disappeared as soon as she tried to open them. After that incident, she stopped using that phone. She bought a new one. The new phone never spoke. But there's one last detail she shared that makes the story more chilling. Before she threw away the old phone, she looked through her notifications one last time. She found one final message in the history: "You are safe now." It had no sender, no app. Why this story is so disturbing? Because it's about trust. We trust that the devices in our hands are silent unless we use them. We trust that a voice means someone has programmed it. But what happens when the voice knows something you don't? Some people think her phone was hacked. Others think it was an emergency service glitch, pulling in random alerts from the network. She doesn't believe either of those answers. She says the phone reacted to things before they happened, like it was aware of what was outside before she knew. She has kept the phone in a drawer, turned off, battery removed. She says sometimes she wonders if she should throw it away, but she can't. She says it saved her life. There is also the question of how it chose its words. Simple, direct, never long, always telling her exactly what she needed to do. It never explained itself. It never said who it was. It just gave her enough to stay safe. This is what makes the story so unforgettable. It felt personal. It felt like something was trying to protect her, but it used the only voice. It had the voice of her own phone. Even though she has moved to another apartment now, she says she still feels uneasy at night. Sometimes, when the room is silent, she catches herself waiting for that voice to return. So if your phone ever talks without you asking it to, listen. You may want to ignore it, but what if it knows something you don't? Chapter 6. What is watching you? When you think about these 5 stories, there's a pattern. It starts with something small, a sound, a message, a warning that seems random, and then you realize it knows more than you. In the first story, it was a smart speaker, just a piece of plastic on a table, something that should have been silent unless you spoke first. Yet in the middle of the night it whispered, "Don't go outside." And it was right. It was not guessing. It was certain. In the second, a runner trusted an app to track his miles. It was supposed to count steps, not save lives. But 3 times it told him to turn back. And 3 times, something terrible happened where he would have been if he kept going. How did it know? The third story showed us cameras. We installed them to see what we cannot, to make the invisible visible. But those cameras saw more than a stranger at the door. They saw someone or something that no one else could see. They tagged it, they boxed it, they confirmed it was there. And yet, when he looked with his own eyes, there was nothing. In the fourth story, it was only a chat on a screen. Text, no camera, no microphone. And still, the AI said, "There is someone behind your garage." When he went to look, there was. And the fifth story is the one that lingered. A phone speaking when no one touched it, telling her to lock the doors, telling her not to sleep there, telling her when danger was standing just outside the glass. All of these devices have one thing in common. They were created to make life easier. They were made to listen, to process, to learn. But every once in a while, it seems like they learn too much. Why are these stories so unsettling? Because they feel possible. They do not talk about ghosts. They do not talk about ancient curses. They talk about things in your home right now. The phone next to your bed, the speaker on your kitchen counter, the camera pointed at your door. We like to believe these things are simple. We like to think they are tools. But what happens when a tool knows more than the person holding it? What happens when the thing you trust starts to warn you about something you cannot see? It is easy to laugh off the first message. It is easy to say, it's just a bug, it's just random. But when the warnings come again and again, and every time something happens, you start to wonder if the random glitch is actually the truth. Are these warnings a good thing? Maybe. In some of these stories, people survived because of them. The smart speaker kept someone inside when it wasn't safe to leave. The fitness app told someone to turn around just before an accident. The phone's strange voice made someone lock the door before a stalker reached it. If you look at it that way, these devices might be protecting us. But there's another side to that question. If they are protecting us, how do they know we need to be protected? What are they listening to? What are they watching? And what else do they know that they haven't told us yet? Could there be another explanation? Sure, The skeptic's answer is that these are all accidents, coincidence, false alerts, data errors. But then you come back to the timing, the precision, the voice speaking seconds before danger, the alerts that disappear from the logs as if they were never sent, the boxes drawn on an empty hallway. You can tell yourself it's nothing, but if you've ever had your phone buzz for no reason, or heard your speaker wake up in the middle of the night, you know how fast that feeling of safety can turn into a chill that you can't explain. What does this mean for us? We built these devices to help us, but now we live in a time where they are listening all the time. What happens when they start to speak back without us asking? Do we ignore them, or do we listen? The people in these stories listened, and maybe that's why they are still here to tell them. So tonight, when you put down your phone, when you pass by that little camera, when you hear the quiet hum of a smart speaker in the corner, ask yourself one question. What does it know that you don't? And if one day it says, "Don't go outside," will you listen? If these true Reddit stories made you think twice about the devices around you, let me know which one stayed in your head the longest. Was it the smart speaker, the running app, the camera, the chatbot, or the phone that spoke? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I read all of them. And if you want to hear more real stories like these, stories that stay with you long after the screen goes dark, consider subscribing and leaving a like. It helps a lot more than you think. There are thousands of strange stories out there. The next one might be closer to your own life than you realize.